Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Beer Bros. As always, I'm Anthony Michael, and we got the king of the red and the blue pill right next to me on the camera as always.
And I'm Zachary, calling Morpheus,
So
King, Red
today
and Blue.
we got a guest with us today. He's a personal trainer known as Dean Solomon, and it's good to have you on the video today.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. Yep.
All right, so as always, we're going to talk about fitness in this episode, like I've been advertising.
Yeah.
Dean right now is one of the most personal friends of mine that I know that's into fitness. Definitely someone that wants to help out there. So, what's your advice to anyone working out today?
Uh, you got to find what works for you, right? I think a lot of people they try to do stuff that they don't like in fitness, right? They'll do like weight. A lot of people, believe it or not, don't like to weight lift, right? But they'll force themselves to do it. I always tell my client to find something you enjoy doing, whether that's, swimming, running, going on the bike, whatever it is, find something you like to do because you're going to get the most results out of it and you're going to stay the most consistent with. That's the biggest staple. So,
In your opinion, for someone that wants to get their forearms bigger, would you recommend what exercises would you recommend?
there's a lot of exercises, a
Like
lot
the
of,
most efficient one. I know everyone, as your brother has mentioned, everyone's exercises is different. It all depends on what you want to do. Like, for
yeah.
example, I do a lot of swimming. That's good
So,
cardio, right?
yeah. So for the forearms, I would just say just lifting heavy stuff is the biggest thing. Like, because if you're just gripping onto heavy ass dumbbells or a heavy barbell, your forearms are indirectly being worked, right? A lot of people in the gym, they try to train their forearms on their own. I don't think it's a good use of your time, right? Just grab heavy things. That's the best thing you can do for forearm training.
Thing, or
Huh?
can that be anything? Like, let's say lifting. Let's say if I'm the gardener and I'm lifting heavy bags of fertilizer. Would that be considered exercise?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That would train your forearms indirectly for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, you can. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to target your forearms like it's a really lagging muscle, then I would do some exercises on the side. But other than that, I would just lift heavy stuff for the most part.
Right?
A
Because I
lot
get
of people I
so
know also that don't want to hit the gym, they're trying to say that they use their muscles every day in life, and that's to be enough in life. I know a few people
Yeah.
that, trying to hit the gym and stuff. They're like, oh, I do construction. That's a workout to start with.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
yeah. I
because
mean,
say I used to be a custodian, and I was a custodian because actually I used to be a lot better in shape because what would you count for people whose jobs are like physical labor? Like, would you consider that like physical exercise?
so I would consider that physical exercise, but I wouldn't consider it like a direct form of physical exercise, right? Because at the end of the day, you still, I think you need to supplement that with the gym, right? Yeah, like you could have a construction job and be lift, but it's still not enough to stimulate some sort of like muscle growth, right? If your goal is to put on as much muscle as possible, you want to be hitting the gym.
Okay, because when I was a custodian, I used to lift a lot of heavy trash bags because I had to clear out a lot of garbage from classrooms, and and I loved it. And walking around doing this and that, I used to do a lot of trying to scrape and clean the windows,
Yeah.
and I'm always like going up and down like 3 flights of stairs, dusting and mopping. But I thought, would you consider that like leg exercises if I'm doing it like 5 times
I
a
mean,
day?
Zach, at the end of the day, I used to do construction, and I
Mhm.
was still hitting the gym at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Construction was a big physical labor job, but you still got to hit the gym, just like Dean said.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're trying to achieve like, a muscular physique and lose body fat and do all that kind of stuff, I think
No.
the gym is definitely essential. For
The
sure.
only problem is the dieting. That's my weakness.
With the fact, like, so I was basically doing everything. I was doing like going. I would. So here was my method. My method was I would mop 3 flights of
Yeah,
stairs.
just as I mean, the thing is with
Yeah.
construction, we're talking more about muscles here. Mopping, that's still a form of muscles, right, Dean? You could still use.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I guess, yeah, you're gripping the mop, so I guess you're working your forearms, but it's still more of a form of like cardio too. Because like I can imagine, like if you're going through 3 floors, right, that's like a shit ton of cardio right there.
Yeah.
So
That's what I mean. Like what I was doing is I was doing 2 flights, or sometimes there was another guy that I worked with, and actually my boss didn't like him. I don't want to say their names, but what I would do is worst case scenario, I would have to dust. I dusted 3 different stairwells, and I would go up and down, and then I would mop them, but I would do one Monday and then I would do it the other Friday. And then I'm moving around like, and even like what I would do is once my garbage thing was full, I would like lift them. And I'm talking like one big row of classrooms
Zach, you gotta
because
get the trash cans, put them on your side, and start squatting.
yeah.
Some squats with them.
but yeah. So anyways, I'm gonna ignore that. But
But
anyway,
that's what I ended up doing with concrete too. I mean, in construction, a lot of bags. But in your advice, how long you think anyone should wait before a rest day?
Uh, for me, like because I work out 5 to 6 times a week, I do like 2 or 3 days on, 1 day off, and I repeat that.
mm,
Because you want that day in the middle to recover. Like there are some people that do like Monday through Saturday and they'll take Sunday off, but that's not enough. By that 6th day on Saturday, you're fucking dead, man. I don't know if I can curse on here, by the way.
Hey, listen, we're on YouTube. You can curse.
Yeah.
This isn't, this isn't monitorized on cable.
Yeah.
I wanted
So
to ask you something. I wanted to ask you also something. I'm curious because also when I was a custodian, I used to like after doing all that stuff, because it was sort of like a part-time job, and I worked from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So like when I got home from my other job, I would eat a lot, and because I would just be so hungry.
yeah.
And like, would you consider like, has it ever happened to you or?
Yeah, so on days that I feel like I worked really hard or I did a lot of physical activity, I feel like, okay, I like my body's asking for the extra calories. I can relate to that 100%. But it depends what I'm doing too. So like at the moment, like right now, right, I'm cutting to lose body fat. So even if I have a day where I feel like, oh shit, I need more calories, I still restrict myself. I still restrict myself because it just defeats the purpose of the cutting aspect. But if you're bulking and you're doing a lot of physical activity, it's okay to have a little bit extra calories, right?
That's
So
how I was.
yeah,
Well, sorry to cut you off because no, that's how I was because sometimes like and it really depended because when you're doing custodial work, sometimes your boss like one time there was a prom and I worked from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning.
yeah,
And it's kind of like, if you're doing that kind of intense, like, because you're doing physical labor, you're
yeah,
moving around constantly. Would you say if that's okay? Like, if you got home, let's say at 10, let's say at 10:30 at night, would
yeah.
it be okay for you to have, because what I would do is I would have dinner, have no dessert, and then I would just shower, brush my teeth, and then go right to sleep.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah, I mean,
also? They say that it's not good to eat before you sleep. You know anything about that? Like, I know people that go to sleep, that eat, and then they go right to bed. They're saying dieting that could affect your lack of sleepness.
yeah. So my rule for that is to eat like 2 hours before bed, right? So I have the food completely digested, right? And I'm not going to bed with a full stomach because, first of all, it's just not healthy. There's a lot of science behind that to not eat right before bed. and you don't want to feel like shit, right? You're like, especially if you have a lot of protein and carbohydrates, it doesn't get digested properly when you're just sleeping, right? You need to be moving constantly so that your body can actually break down all the nutrients you just had.
What's your opinion on a pre-workout? Because I know a lot of people don't use that when they hit the gym.
So there's a couple angles to look at this from. The first angle is if you're having, good nutrients and you're having enough calories throughout the day to fuel the workout, I wouldn't have the pre-workout. I wouldn't have the pre-workout because you already have enough calories in your system to go and work out, right? Especially if those calories are made up of carbohydrates. The second angle is if you're obviously deficient in calories, then yeah, I would have the pre-workout. But it depends on what time you're going to have it, right? If you're going to have it at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not going to be able to sleep at night. Your eyes are going to be wide open.
It's all that caffeine, I guess, right?
Yeah, that caffeine will keep you awake.
And what about energy drinks? You believe they actually help too? Because I know a lot of them are really bad, they say.
Yeah, they're infused with like a ton of chemicals probably. And it's the same principles as the pre-workout. At the end of the day, you're putting that caffeine into your body, which is keeping you awake, especially if you have it late at night. It's gonna mess you up. So
What
I would-
about,
yeah.
I want to say, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
What about stuff like, okay, like what I used to do also is, after when I was a custodian, my method was, some certain days, what I did was, and I was told this was healthy. I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this, but what I used to do was I would make tea with honey and I would just slowly drink it, and it would just give me like this natural energy boost where I would keep going. And also, what about like, okay, like I said, if you're doing like, let's say if I was like, let's say when I was, I would get home super late, on my control. But sometimes it's like I would eat a lot before or after, and it just felt so like. What's your
So with the first part with the tea and the honey, I mean, it is a good form. It's healthy, right? Honey is pretty healthy for you, and so is tea. So especially honey, the reason you probably got a lot of energy is because it has carbs, right? So that's your form. That's your first form of energy.
Mhm.
So I can see how that was giving you energy throughout the day. What was the second part? You were saying that you were coming back at late at night.
Yeah, so sometimes like, and it really depended. So let's say like there was another person who called out. So sometimes I would work from 4 or maybe even earlier. Like if I got home and I would say, my boss called me and say, "Can you come in now?" And I would ask, "Okay, can I just need to give me energy." And he's like, "Okay." And I ate like, let's say I ate a big lunch, but then I went into work and worked from like, let's say 2 p.m. all the way to like 10 or even 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it you could tell, like it was saying, is calorie count too.
Yeah. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out. It doesn't matter when you have the calories throughout the day. I mean, it does make a bit of a difference, right? If you spread out your calories evenly throughout the day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I said, it's calories in, calories out. If you have 2,500 calories, right, and you break it down into 4 meals, it's going to do the same as having 2,500 calories in one, right?
Mhm.
But obviously, the thing about that is the protein and the carbs might not be ideal for that if you just had one meal. That's the only difference between the two. And obviously, you might get a terrible stomach ache if
Yeah.
you've had only one
What
meal.
about people that skip breakfast?
Um, I think breakfast is overrated, to be completely honest with you. I don't think you can fast throughout the day. Like you can fast throughout the day, and then by the time like 1 o'clock rolls around, you could say, okay, I'm gonna have like my lunch, right? It's the same principles. It's just the calories. The calories is what matters. And having a high protein diet, that's the other thing that matters.
Now, if someone skips breakfast and lunch, can they eat a high calorie dinner to make up for the energy?
So that's the problem with that. That you're gonna have all those calories at once, and then it's not gonna be high enough in protein, realistically, because you're going to be looking for something super calorie dense, right? Because you're like, fuck, man, I got to get these calories in before I go to bed. So it's going to be a lot of processed junk that you're going to have. And it's just not going to be enough. There's not going to be enough protein at the end of the day. And then you're going to go to bed feeling like crap. So
No.
you have to be really careful with that. What I would do if I were you, the easiest way to get your calories in is have like a protein shake throughout the day. That's easy 50 grams of protein right there.
What's
If
the
you get
best
50
protein
grams
shake
of
company?
protein early in the day, you're already in a good space. Right? And then the rest of the day, try to have like 2 meals at least.
Okay, so like,
What's the best protein shake company that you recommend?
I mean, the protein I use, it's called My Protein. It's a decent protein powder. I use it because the ingredients are, there's not like crazy ingredients at the end of the day, and it tastes good. Like I feel like I could have that protein shake without feeling like I'm, gonna throw the fuck up all over the place.
Last
So
shake I tried was called Organic.
yeah,
I don't know if you heard about those.
I've seen the brand, but I never had it before. But it's
Don't.
probably good though. Is
It's
it?
not. No, it's not. It's one of the
It's not.
worst tasting
Okay.
ones I tried. I
Yeah.
think your brother told. All right, so little background. Dean's brother, I'm friends with since for a while too. He's
Yeah.
been trying to tell me about different protein shakes companies, but I figured I'll listen to the pro about this.
Yeah.
He was telling me about an Orange Label.
Orange Label.
Yeah, I believe he was saying.
Yeah.
But like I said,
Yeah. For Rami, my brother, um, he uses a company called Levels. It's actually a pretty decent brand. It's really not processed at all. It's like grass-fed protein, right? So it's as natural as it can get. And they got a ton of options for like flavors and all that kind of stuff, you know? It's just bottom line, are you going to be able to, process it properly? And you want to make sure that there's not a lot of crap loaded into it. Those are the two things that really matter. So,
what's the highest? What's a good protein substitute? Like,
I mean,
or the most protein you could get out of a steak would probably be the best, you would say?
steak is good, but the problem with steak, it's really fatty. So you're going to get, a shit ton of fat from a big piece of steak, right? You don't want to do that because, by the way, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, whereas 1 gram of protein or carbs is 4 calories, right? So it's double the calories. Like, let's say you had like 60 grams of fat or like 100 grams of fat. That's a shit ton of calories right there. Whereas you could have 100 grams of carbs and that's like half the calories of that, right? So,
Yeah, they say eggs are supposed to be really good for you too.
yeah, eggs, obviously, you get a shit ton of vitamins with it, very nutrient dense. It's got good protein and it's got a good amount of fat in it too. But if you have like 3 eggs in the morning, that's not going to kill you.
You see, I don't like eggs, so
Oh, you
that's
don't like it?
it is.
no.
My
Your
Dude,
brother was telling me.
when I was younger, dude, I hated eggs, dude. I fucking hated it. I could not eat it. But I don't know, all of a sudden something clicked. I don't know, now I could eat it, no problem. So,
One thing.
What about like what's your thing like? Because what I used to do is this was a while ago. So I would do sometimes on my days on I used to go down to the park in my town, and I would jog around for like, let's say I would jog around, start off slow and steady, and then if I got tired, I would just stop, rest for a few minutes, and then I would continue it. Actually, I used to do like 6 laps around, no problem. Would you consider that like good stamina building or?
Yeah, so you're going to build your stamina and your endurance from things like running or using the bike or whatever it might be. There's so many options for cardio at the end of the day. But I think the biggest thing is if you're trying to like a lot of people want to build muscle and lose body fat, right? The
Mhm.
biggest thing is the primary goal should be to build muscle. A lot of people try to overcompensate with doing a lot of cardio and it's just counterproductive in a way because when you build a lot of muscle tissue, your metabolism starts to speed up. And when your metabolism speeds up, you're actually going to burn a lot of the body fat that you have. Right? I didn't learn that until like way later into my lifting journey.
Mhm.
So, and then I leave the cardio as like a last minute tool to really get shredded pretty much.
All
Even
right.
though I do cardio, right? I'll do like 10,000 steps a day, but it's
Mhm.
like indirect cardio. Like I'm just walking around. Those 10,000 steps just come from me walking all over the place.
Because I used to walk. Also, that's the other thing too. I think happened. I used to be a little bit skinnier because what I would do is I would walk for. I did this for 5 times a day. I would walk all the way to the end of town, walk back home, and it would be a repeatable process. Like I said, I'm going down 3 flights of stairs, and also I didn't really go to eat or drink a lot, so and I never drank right out for 6 months. So like if you broke all that down, like let's say you did all that in a 6 month period, would that be the start to building muscle, or is that just working on your stamina, endurance, and cardio?
Well, I mean, it is a good start. It is definitely a solid base to have. But then after like that 6 month period, like you said, I would start stepping into the gym. I would be like, okay, we now I got to start actually building muscle tissue,
Mhm.
right? So at the end of the day, you want to change your body composition, right? You want to have more muscle, less fat. And really the only way to do that is lifting weights. Lifting weights at the end of the day. Because even like you said at your job, you know, you lift a lot of heavy stuff and you do all those things. But the problem is when you're lifting all that heavy stuff, you want to be able to track it, right? Like for me, I write down my workouts
Mhm.
and I track the weights that I do during my workouts.
Mhm.
So you want to be able to measure all that stuff so you could actually progress in the gym with your weights and your reps and stuff like that. That's how you build muscle. At the end
Okay.
of
Well, I didn't really know I was building anything. I was just doing it because, it was a job of mine and I have to do it. So I'm
Yeah,
like, this was way before I had a car or anything. So,
yeah,
like I said, I would walk all the way, walk back home. And like I said, I would just kind of eat. And also, what I did was, I think I did, like I said, I didn't cut out dessert completely. So I would just have like, let's say my dad cooked
Zach,
like,
you don't need to cut out dessert completely. I mean, you could use fruit, right?
no. It wasn't even like I said. I was doing it because because for that 6 month period, I was actually really skinny, and actually, my dad even said, "Wow, you lost so much weight." Like I could, and my dad's a 32, so if I lost that much weight, I it was 32, like because originally before I used to be like 34, 35. And I know people could, if you're, because I try to match, you try to match your height with your weight. So if I'm like around 5'10", 5'11". I read online you have to be like people who are like around that number. Usually they try to weigh about 175 to one. like when I was skinnier, I used to fluctuate with weight with that around that weight. Because again, like if you're doing all that stuff, or you have to do it longer, and you get, like I said, I would just eat a little something or have a little and I would just keep my body going, and then I would just eat, and then like I said, I had no dessert. I would just shower and go right to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, or, when I talk to my clients, I always tell them, don't worry about the number on the scale.
Yeah.
Right? You can be 250 pounds and be, 5'10" and have a shit ton of muscle. Even though they say, oh, yeah, you have to be like 170 at 5'10" or whatever. If your body composition is good, you have more muscle and less fat, then you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to.
So,
I
like,
mean, a lot of things too is I used to train at UFC gym. I'm sure you heard about them, Dean.
Yeah, of course.
They would beat the crap out of you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
but
I
it
mean,
was
they
all
do a lot of it's a lot of cardio again at like UFC, right? It's a lot of martial arts and a lot of conditioning work. Like the goal in UFC, it's not to build muscle because when you're doing UFC, like I can imagine a shit ton of muscle is going to slow you down in the octagon.
mhm.
So you're only supposed to have probably a little bit of muscle mass, but it's mostly conditioning and technique and all that kind of stuff.
Like,
what's your opinion on supplements?
I was gonna ask, do you do like boxing or anything?
Hold on, Zach.
You
Let's
know, I've been trying to get into it. It's just hard to find time right now, but I let me actually give you a little bit of a background. I used to do a lot of wrestling when I
Mhm.
was younger. I did wrestling for like I don't know, like maybe 3, 4 years. I was pretty good at that, but I kind of gave it up. I did some recreational sports. I did some soccer, did some baseball, and then I got into weightlifting. But I would like to return to do, wrestling and boxing and all that kind of stuff.
All
what's your
right.
opinion on supplements now?
The only supplements I really use is obviously like a multivitamin,
Mhm.
uh, protein powder, and creatine. That's it. That's it.
All right. I mean, keep
Creatine.
not using any other of the crazy stuffs.
I mean, yeah, no, 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 no. I'm not using anything like, that's you get under the counter or something.
Yeah. No. I
But
mean, honestly, I don't even think you need any of that stuff.
no. If you want to build a good, lean physique, you don't need drugs or whatever, people use these days. You know,
And what's your go-to cheat meal? If you have an option for a cheat meal, what would it be?
just a big old ribeye steak, and that's
What
that.
about I was gonna say, what about what's your thing on yoga?
Um, honestly, I haven't tried it like that, but from what I've heard, it's a big, stress reliever. You actually work your mobility and, all that kind of stuff with it. So I think it's a good form of exercise. Again, back to what I was saying before. If you enjoy doing yoga and yoga burns calories, then do it. Do it,
Yeah. So
right?
I because they're used because we're sorry.
No, it's okay.
I call
Zach,
my
I think you might need some water.
Yeah.
fine. Because also too is because where I work now was we used to do adult yoga as a program, but we stopped doing it, and I used to do it. And I felt like if especially since if you're doing yoga for a long time early in the morning, like how my dad does yoga, like it does work, and I felt like I was a little bit mobile and I could do stuff. And like I said, I used to do boxing just as a personal thing, just to at least learn if like to defend myself. And also
Yeah.
what I learned is that boxing, because sometimes this has happened. You ever get so angry at something or a person or annoyed, and you just want to work off that anger? I just
Yeah.
felt like boxing was just a great way to relieve all that.
I mean, that's where you got to use that energy, right? That use the energy that's building up.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, whether it's boxing, whether it's lifting weights, whatever it is, I would use that energy to, you know, just burn it off, right? Use it to your advantage. Don't sit up with just like pent up energy. You don't want to be that way, you know? So I find, yeah, like boxing or lifting weights or whatever it is a good stress reliever, right? So I could agree with that. I can
Why do
agree.
you think, Zach? Why do you think in the past when I had a lot of things going on, I used to work out. You remember when I did the boxing? I think you knew about it too, Dean.
Told me about it, but you never really showed me any of your techniques.
You never asked.
Well,
This is the
no, but
guy. We got the
you,
guy that's on the camera right now that you could ask techniques for certain things too.
you
All right.
never
As
box.
always, we do have a limit on our videos. So now let's hear about a little bit of Dean, about your certificates, about the programs you're doing.
Yeah, so I have like a basic, well, it's not basic, it's actually the highest like level certification in the United States called NASM, uh, CPT. So it's a certified personal trainer. But honestly, to train people, you don't even need that shit. I'm just gonna be completely honest. Like you only need that when you work at like a, commercial gym or something. But if you want to start your own online coaching business, you don't need it. You don't need it. Yeah, it does teach you a couple things about, how to do sales and a couple training tips and nutrition stuff, but that's it. You don't really get that much out of it. In terms of the training programs, it's been a lot of trial and error. I mean, I've been doing this now for like 7 years, so I have like I have like 150 programs that I rotate through, literally. Um, it took a lot of time to actually put them together, but yeah, I mean, all that stuff is coming just from experience and doing research on, bodybuilding, right? And yeah, just trial and error, really.
All right, perfect. And guys, if you want, I'll include his Instagram in the link. If there's any questions, or even if you want to join the program, feel free to hit him up. All right.
Yep. Yep.
Definitely. All right. As always, this is Anthony Michael signing off.
And I'm Morpheus, King of the Red and the Blue Pill. So make sure you like and subscribe.
Like I said, guys, make sure you check out his program. It's really good. It's one of the best programs I've ever been involved in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure.
It was nice talking to you.
Yep.
All right.
Likewise.
We'll catch you guys in the next episodes.
Later, folks.